everybody, Logan here with another one of my kind of podcasty videos where I kind of sit back, talk, so you can sit back, relax, and enjoy the really loud fan next to me because it is hotter than Satan's pits here. Today, I am talking about my thoughts and feelings and opinions on Spirit this year, and just kind of how I feel like they're going, and just kind of the direction that I feel like they're going. And in it, I do kind of want to give some critiques. So, everyone has seen the lineup, everything but, like, whatever the filler props are going to be, like the inbox onlys. And there's really not a lot of good feedback about the lineup. And I agree. I'm not a fan of the lineup. And now I want to separate the lineup from the props. I like the props. I think there's a lot of really cool and stellar props. But it's the lineup that I'm not a fan of, like, as a whole. The lineup, I feel like, lacks versatility. It almost feels like a copy of last season, where last season it was primarily carnival props, then, the cemetery, the cemetery props, and then there was a scarecrow, a creepy girl, and then they had like the wild cards in there, the licensed and all that stuff. And then this year, we've got the carnival, the cemetery, the creepy girl, the scarecrow, the licensed, and I really don't feel like we have much of a wild card this year. So it feels like they doubled down on what I feel like is what I'm going to start calling the generic formula. I personally have a very high standard for Spirit because Spirit's team are people who are passionate about Halloween, and they know Halloween like the back of their hand. They know like the formula of Halloween, and they know the do's and don'ts of the industry, and they know what sells, what doesn't, So, like, I understand the carnival and the cemetery. Like, I understand that that is what sells, and I'm not, like, gonna say, stop doing that, because that's stupid. And that wouldn't make sense. But what I am saying, is like the clowns, for example. Clowns sell, and that's no secret. But, and this is like the biggest but, and like, I don't know, I'm just going to go on with it. It's not just all clowns that are going to sell. It's the ones that are interesting and have something new to offer. For example, last season we had a bunch of clowns. We had Henry, Harriet, Two Scoops, Buddy Bag, Shorty, and Wacky Mole. So that had 6 clowns that we got last year. Out of those 6 clowns, 2 are returning. That's the 2 that sold well enough. And that was Shorty. Oh, we actually had 7 because they're spinning on the sewer grate. But it's Shorty and Two Scoops that are returning. Because those 2 were the highest sellers, and those 2 did really well. Now, of course, Buddy Bag is a little bit of a weird situation because he was released so late. So I feel like maybe if he was on time, he could have potentially returned as well. But like, I feel like everything else potentially, especially Harriet and Wacky Mole, and Sewer Grate weren't strong enough. Now, I do believe Sewer Grate did sell pretty decently, but Harriet and Wacky, I don't think did well enough. Henry, I think, did okay. Year before that, we had Peekaboo, we had Crouchy, we had I really remember everything we had. I know Peekaboo flopped, Charlie flopped, most of the clowns flopped. It just, when they're doing clowns, you gotta have clowns that like grab your attention and have something interesting to offer. Or like with the licensed ones, they have to be interesting. Like Pennywise, I honestly feel like the sewer grate was totally unnecessary, and I think instead of the sewer grate, because while it was fresh on everyone's mind that movie was it chapter 2 was like another new it thing, they should have done a Georgie and pair the Georgie with the Pennywise, like the pre-existing one, because the pre-existing one is still going strong. Paired those two together in a theme. That's, I keep forgetting I have a weird prop on. That would have been genius, you know. Had like some peekaboo Georgie or something. Or even had a Georgie jump out of the sewer instead of it being Pennywise, and paired those two together. You know, I think that would have done better. And I think that would have even boosted the sales of Pennywise. And that Georgie would have done well, because it's like, oh, we got Pennywise, we got to get that Georgie too. And it would have blown that Party City one out of the water. Like, it would have done way better than the Party City one if Spirit had done that. Because their design team is just way better, in my opinion. Crouchy is probably one of the best modern Spirit animatronics, and at that point he was still going strong, and they put him online only. I honestly think it was for room, because there was a lot of big animatronics, and I mean, I understand at the end of the day, like, you want to have room for new stuff, but I would have cut one of the clowns and kept Crouchy, because at the end of the day, he is still a good seller and he is still a fan favorite. And it's like, you had him on the blueprints. I would have kept him for that as well, instead of pushing in more new clowns. I would focus on the things you still have that are still good sellers, instead of trying to push out more new ones, because I feel like we're drowning in all of these new clowns and the new cemetery props. And the cemetery props, you know, now, they're a classic, so it's a bit of a gray area with those. The cemetery props, there's a million different kinds. There's reapers, skeletons, ghouls, ghosts, you know, etc., etc. Now this year, skeletons are becoming more popular, and Spirit took notice of that because they did Grimm. Grimm was amazing. Mr. Dark was phenomenal. Those were cemetery props that are returning and did really well. And this year, it feels like they're doing more skeletons and skeletal figures, and it's just, there's more to a cemetery than those. I would try to push out more. I would do more. I would do more ghosts. And ghosts, I don't mean like W. Wraith, like sheet ghosts. More like, just like a ghostly character, like Lady of the Grave was, you know. And I know Spirit can do that and pull that off really well. They have an arsenal of companies and an arsenal of designers. They could do something amazing with that. Reapers, they have been doing better Reapers. And we had Baphomet last year, and Baphomet was pretty creative. And we have Lord Crow, who I will count as a Reaper. I will say now, Spirit, please don't start a trend of just slapping animal heads on Reapers. Now, Baphomet and Lord Crow work, but like, I would be careful on where you tread, because there's only so much wiggle room you have before it starts getting bizarre, and not in a bizarre in a good way like Nightcrawler, but bizarre in a way where people are going to be like, oh, this sucks. I would be careful. I would be very, very careful where you tread there. I feel like just they're trying too hard to make as much money as possible right now. And I mean, like, I guess let me because, like, I mean, it is a business and you're trying to make money, but it's like they're pushing out a lot of generic stuff and repeats. Like this year, there's a lot of cash grabs. They're pushing out too many cash grabs. That's the point. And like with young Crouchy, for example, I feel like that's unnecessary, and I think a lot of people agree with me. And I don't realistically see it selling well. I would be very surprised if they brought back Crouchy. That would be smart, like how they brought back Barry and brought him in stores. And I think that's a smart move too. Them bringing in an online only animatronic that did well and taking that in stores. I like that idea, and I think they should stick with that. Like one really good online only. Though I don't know if I personally would have gone with Barry. I would have done two scoops because I think that they are a more visually interesting animatronic than Barry, but Barry is smaller, more compact, and does fit in with the theme, so I think that that might have had a play in that decision. I'm not sure if they planned that ahead of time, but if they were to start doing that, which I do suggest that they will, because potentially it could help that animatronic do better. And I think it's a good idea to help those animatronics keep going for more years. Um, One thing I am glad that they did this year was they calmed down on the licensed animatronics. I feel like last year they did too many, and again I feel like we were drowning in them. And this year it seems like we just have Reagan, though we have not seen the two inbox onlys, and there was speculation we're getting a Crypt Keeper. If it's one or two a year, I think that is like new ones a year. I think that is I think it's a good amount. I think it's a safe amount. Um, and again, I think that just keeps us from drowning in just too many licensed characters. I almost feel like personally that the licensed characters should have their own side theme consistently. That's like a theater, you know, and make room for more of the original props. But that's just my opinion, and that's just kind of an idea that I would like to present to Spirit. Um, I don't know how anyone else would feel about that, but if they're gonna want to go overboard with the licensed props again, that's just what I would do personally. And I do feel like they went a little overboard last year, and I feel like they kind of saw that too, and they're like, let's kind of bring it back a bit. Um, Another thing that I really want to discuss, and I really don't, I guess I don't know who this would be pointed towards, was like the communication and the marketing, and I don't want to say sneak peeks because the sneak peeks could still be released on the 20th, but I feel like they just there there was too much silence this season, you know? Um and I feel like they could have taken advantage of some of that silence and released some big, bold, grand videos, you know, kind of like last year with the graveyard shift teasers. Those are awesome because what we got to is we got to pick them apart, you know. This season we don't have that anymore. I mean, we had them with midway to Halloween or something like that, which that was fine. And then the one after that was a carbon copy but had like an additional frame, you know, which is like, oh, okay, but we couldn't see anything. And then this one, it looks more like a found footage film. And I feel like that was a severely missed opportunity. What I would have done is so the flagship announcement trailer is I would have had maybe a voice actor like an animatronic like talking and announcing like the flagship, and would be teasing a couple of like maybe say go around the corporate or marketing and say, what are your favorite animatronics? Have those in it. You know, the staff's fan favorites. Just, you know, something fun for the staff, you know. Pumps us up, you know. And I would do like an orange band teaser 5 weeks after that. Like a while after that. Like the orange one we had last season, where it's an alternate and it shows maybe a little more, and then so there's some spacing, but there's stuff, but there's a little consistency. And then now, with the most recent teaser, the experiment 1031, I would have done a graveyard shift style teaser. The graveyard shift teaser, in my opinion, was the greatest showcase that Spirit had ever done. The production value that they did was phenomenal. And even Graveyard Shift itself looked amazing. It was great. And I feel like they kind of missed that, because it's really fun to pick these apart, and it not only occupies people. That's the thing that I feel like maybe they want to try to do next season, is they want to occupy them a little bit and give them like a little bit, but like not too much, you know. But it's fun for the whole community. Now, I'm not going to say, like, I hate this teaser, because I do think the found footage was really interesting. Also, sorry, it did kind of cut out. I tried to, like, finish that sentence. I had, like, a weird audio interruption. But, like, I like the found footage concept and idea, and I think that was really neat, but I would have incorporated animatronics in there as well, and would have given the community things to look for. And maybe there are animatronics hidden in there, maybe we just haven't found them yet, but I feel like it was lackluster, and like the page felt bare. There wasn't, it just, everything felt bare this year, and there was so much silence, and there was no communication, and it's just you know, I don't know, I wasn't a fan of that. So, like, what would I change? You know, if I were in charge of, like, the design team, for example, what would I change? For one, I would start releasing polls. I guess I would team up with a marketing team, and I would start releasing polls on what people want to see. Start doing community-run events. And it's more of a way to gather information on what people want to see, because like stuff like mummies, witches, and vampires are in such a high demand, and I know people want to see Spirit specifically tackle those. And now when I say witch, I don't mean seasonal visions witches, because they all kind of look the same. But like mummies and vampires, we haven't had those from Spirit in a long time, you know? There's not a lot of those anymore. So I feel like that's something that Spirit should hop onto. And then, like, you know, animation Q&As, you know? I feel like Spirit should involve themselves more with the community. And I don't mean, like, listening to our videos and watching what we do. Like, live streams with corporate people where they talk to us directly and have open-ended Q&A sessions with us, and opportunities to really get our feedback, you know, so that they can improve their lineups, and so we can have years where maybe there's not as much anger and aggression towards the corporate team. You know, um, I would have more communication on the marketing team's end. And, like, I don't know if it's really the marketing team's fault. I don't really know how many people like that had to go through, but there's just there this year was just lacking. I also feel like the prices need to be reworked. Spirit has always been a more higher end Halloween retailer, and they've always been pretty pricey. This year, the prices are really high. Now, like, years leading up to it, the prices have been kind of creeping up, and I've always remained pretty quiet for the most part. But like, I've never been a fan of the high prices. But like, I feel like this year they just exploded. Like, they skyrocketed. And while I do think the pandemic and COVID and inflation did play a role in it, I also feel like Spirit might be overcalculating the value of some of these. And I do feel like that it's going to hurt them, because last season they had no price reductions. Last season, while I do think there were things that are overpriced, in my opinion, now I'm not the whole community and I can't speak for everyone, but like, last season I do feel like there were things that are overpriced. I didn't see any price reductions on animatronics, besides, you know, not Towering Clown, I don't know why I said Towering Clown, Sitting Scarecrow, and the spiders, which is normal. But I feel like they definitely went a little too high this season, which makes me think they're going to go lower next season, because the prices are pretty bipolar. You know, I feel like after they have a really good season, they go up because they feel like they can increase the value, which sometimes you can. I mean, I'm not going to say that you can never increase the value of your stuff. No, you can sometimes, but I think they did too much. I really think they did too much this season. Again, in my opinion. Yeah, and again, like, with the more generic themed products, again, like, I get it, that's what sells, but I would start pushing out more unique stuff, you know, things that do unique things, like grim and dark. Like, those were so advanced. Even like Reagan, like how Reagan has the projector. I cannot talk. How she has a projector in her back. You know, like, that was cool. But I feel like there's not a lot of that this season. But we also haven't seen anything in action yet, so there could be. You know, we don't know yet. That's kind of the fun part. But yeah. And then there is something I really like about this season that I would love to give credit to Spirit for. And that's like what they did with Skelly Bones, and I want to see them do this more. So I think Skelly Bones is kind of our flashback this season. And what they did is they changed him. So it's not a carbon copy of what he was. He's not a swinger. He jumps up, and I like that they did that. They brought back the character, and he looks the same. But they changed what he does and what kind of animatronic he is. Spirit, that is the smartest thing I have ever seen in my life. That was clever. I wonder if that's you guys trying to make the flashbacks sell better, because I feel like they've been kind of I think Charlie and Lim Ripper might be the best ones so far. Keep doing that, because I like that. I like that idea that you guys brought back that character, but you changed it. And because you guys have all of these characters, like, that didn't, like, that, or either newer or really didn't exist when, like, these animatronics first came out, the possibilities are endless. And even, like, with these technologies that you guys have, you know, I'm excited to see that more, and I want to see you guys do that. So, you know, like, for example, if you guys brought back, I'm trying to think, I'm having a total brain fart. Evil Scientist, for example. And Evil Scientist lunged forward, and then as it lunged forward, his mask dropped down at the same time. Like, that'd be cool. I'd buy that so fast. And I'm a fan of, like, the original one too. But, like, separating the originals from the new ones by just changing them, that's smart. I like that. I like that idea, and I hope you guys do that. But, and there's always gonna be a but, here's what I wouldn't start doing. I wouldn't start getting in the habit of making, like, miniature animatronics of, like, currently popular characters, like young Crouchy for current Crouchy. And if you guys do decide to do that, I feel like there should be a different approach to this. And here's kind of what I mean. Like, I understand the concept behind young Crouchy and everything, but what I would have done instead is I would have taken him and I would have made him a greeter. I would have had him hold a candy bowl and give them the audio, you know, and I would have taken him off the theme because I feel like he could have had room for something else. You know, another original prop. Or put young Crouchy online only. Or a filler, you know, or, like, swap the filler with young Crouchy. But I wouldn't recommend getting in the habit of doing these scaled down versions of currently popular animatronics. And it's just, I don't know if that's a smart idea necessarily. If you did, like, a greeter, I think that would be cool. You know, because, like, the dolls are really neat. I like the dolls, and I think I would buy a Crouchy greeter for sure because I like Crouchy, and I mean I do like young Crouchy too. I don't have the current one because he's so big, you know, and the box is so big, but he's a proportionally large animatronic. But I know not a lot of people share my same opinions, you know, and that's just kind of a recommendation I would make. Or instead of doing, like, a scaled down Crouchy, I would have done a different variation of him and, like, remade Crouchy, but, like, a jump scare Crouchy or something, you know, like something new, and just not like a tiny one that I'm assuming does the exact same thing. But again, that's my opinion, you know. So I'm gonna end this video on a high note. I still have a lot of faith in Spirit, and I feel like maybe this is an off year, and, you know, I hope that they listen to the more, I guess, gentle criticisms and more gentle critiques. I do like a lot of the animatronics this season. You know, I don't want to say, oh, it's all shit. It's not. And I like the themes too. The theme gives me 2013 vibes. When I talked to Gina when her and Daniela were, like, hyping up the theme, I mean, this was worth the hype. This is really cool. I think the theme looks aesthetically really cool, and I think it was really well pulled off. And I think the animatronics look really cool. It's just, again, the lineup as a whole, I feel like, is really lacking and I feel like it's just like I've seen it before. I've seen this lineup before. You know, what else can you give me? Because I know you guys can do so much more. I know you guys are capable of so much more. You guys have a phenomenal team of Halloween fanatics, basically, working for you guys. You know, what else can we see? You know, that's kind of where I'm at right now. And God, those prices, I hope they go down. I know business is business, but they are a little too high this season. I will not lie. I hope that this video is more helpful and kind of giving suggestions and critiques on where to go and not sounding, I guess, overly angry, you know, because I want Spirit to improve. I don't want Spirit to close down. I don't want him to like die off this company. And Spirit always has room for improvement. You know, that's the thing, is we're never going to have a perfect lineup, and that's okay, you know. But I want to see more from Spirit, because I know Spirit can do a lot more than what they're doing right now. They're capable of so much. They have so much potential. But yeah, leave a comment down below what you would do and what you would change. And yeah, that's all from me, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Bye, guys.